In your teaching of GCSE Business Studies, the toughest bit, according to Ofsted, is Unit 1 of the Applied Business course. Getting immersed in the detail of this particular block can make it difficult to keep your teaching relevant to the real business world and keep your pupils interested. Swanley Business and Enterprise College has been recognised by Ofsted as meeting this challenge. The college is uniquely situated close to the heart of London's financial community, but also in one of the most deprived areas of Whitechapel. Their approach is to forge strong links with this diverse local business community. The GCSE Applied Business teachers are meeting to plan forthcoming Year 10 lessons.
Okay, my lessons this week, on Monday and Tuesday, I'm proposing to do business communications, and I'm hoping that I can get that wrapped up by the end of period 2 on Tuesday.
Simon Firth is assistant head teacher. His responsibility is to develop business and enterprise across the whole school. He's an ex-city worker who's been teaching business studies for 12 years and has been at Swanley since September 2004.
So this week, my class are going to have business dynamics come back in.
Louis Burke worked for 25 years in banking and retail, largely in IT management positions, and he's been teaching at Swanley since the summer of 2004.
This week we've finished off the business activity. They've done some very good drafts, which is hopefully going to look good within their coursework.
Nathan Carter worked in investment banking for 7 years, and he's also been teaching at Swanley since September 2004. In their efforts to bring the Year 10 Applied Business course to life, the teachers at Swanley are bringing local business people and organisations into the school. They help pupils get a real sense of what it takes to run a successful business.
I think what the government wants is for schools, students, teachers to be 100% enterprising all the time. And I think that's something they want both in the public sector but also in the private sector, to encourage people to be more forward-thinking, to take more calculated risks, perhaps think outside the box a little bit more. And I think that we need to try and achieve that at Swanley School.
Business Dynamics are a national business educational and enterprise charity. They're visiting Swanley to give the pupils a taste of what real business is all about.
The Chief Executive Officer, that's you, you're going to run the company, okay? You're the Finance Director, okay, so you're in charge of the money. You're the Operations Director, you're in charge of how the company... Head of Design, my apologies, you're the Head of Design, so you're going to decide what your company makes and how it meets the public's needs. You two are Head of Sales and Marketing, decide who's going to do which.
We run a number of different programmes to help students across the curriculum with business studies and with their enterprise education as well. We run programmes for the Key Stage 4 based on team working, problem solving, communication skills, developing their enterprise skills, and we run business enterprise programs called e-business or business awareness, where students get to put together their own business plan for their own startup business and present it back to the classroom and to some business experts as well. All of our programs have business volunteers or business people on them to help explain to the students why business is important and keep it as relevant as possible.
How much money do you think it costs to sponsor Liverpool? This isn't a football argument. This is a pointless argument because it's going to cost you millions of pounds to sponsor a team and you don't have that much money. Okay? You might be able to sponsor Stockport at the most, and that's going to take all of your marketing budget.
So you, where are you going to be in 3-5 years' time? Where's the company going to be in that much time? Sitting at home, yeah, with the profits, but how are you going to get there in the first place? You need to make sure these guys are included, get them working.
I mean, business dynamics bring into the classroom fresh ideas and really, reinvigorate the curriculum as we're going along. It's not just their fresh set of faces; they actually have a different approach, and I think that encourages the students and motivates them, and just makes them enthusiastic again about the subject, which is quite important.
Changing it around, print it off, get these guys involved. Do you know what you're doing? There you go. You're head of this company and you're failing miserably.
It's your problem.
No, you're turning your back on these people. They don't know what they're doing. Get involved. Tell them what they're doing.
Basically, the students get a very practical understanding of some of the key activities within business. I mean, they take on the individual roles, and it helps them understand how businesses are really organised, how they function in the real world, in a way that just, working from textbooks and even from case studies doesn't really provide them.
In the Applied Business GCSE course, we try and bring the subject to life as much as we can by using work experience in Year 10, but also by bringing in outside agencies to help support what we deliver. And also so the students get to see a different face in the classroom and get exposure to real business people, and we think that's particularly important, and it does make the course vocationally relevant.
Thanks for joining me this afternoon, ladies, I appreciate it. Basically we're going to be discussing your business with regards to young enterprise.
For those motivated students not suited to a more academic curriculum, business studies has a strong appeal. Swanley believe they can nurture these potential entrepreneurs by putting them in a vocational environment.
Youth at Risk, I was invited to run the project by Mr. Firth, and the plan was basically to take my class of business studies students off-site for 2 days, where they would be taught by a couple of trainers that were brought in by Youth at Risk, with the main view of shifting their paradigm, so changing their way of thinking.
We wanted to find out if it's possible for us to order paint, because you're art teacher and you order paint, you know things to do with that. We wanted to see if we can get a discount.
Okay.
Because it's cheaper for you, innit? Because you order loads of them. Because we don't need that much, but we need a couple of paints and stuff.
Okay.
The problem with some of our children in this school, it's been highlighted that they sometimes they have a low self-esteem, they don't feel totally valued. I guess really and truly it's just a matter of just changing the way they think about themselves, trying to add a bit of value to their lives. So the trainer's main emphasis was on shifting the paradigm. So instead of thinking negatively with regards to what they can and can't do, always think positively, think that they can be, they can basically ultimately be whatever they choose to be, as long as they put the energy and the effort in. The other very good thing that's come out of Youth at Risk is Youth at Risk have put me in touch with a Swedish gentleman with regards to exploring the opportunity of doing a pupil exchange. As you might be able to imagine, some of the pupils who I see on a day-to-day basis haven't actually been out of London. Of course, some of them might have gone back to Bangladesh, but on the whole, a lot of them haven't really seen much of the world, or certainly much of this country, outside of London. So the opportunity to kind of go and explore another area of Europe is obviously very exciting for them, and it's also a great motivator with regards to behaviour and just kind of encourage them to do their homework and their classwork. So that's all good.
Swanley may seem lucky to have a number of outside organisations available to them, but are they so easily available to you?
Businesses across the UK of whatever size and complexion, whether it's the public sector or the private sector, are very keen to work with schools in their locality. And therefore I would encourage all schools to seek out their local education business partnership, sit down with them and formulate a plan, if they haven't already done so, on how they might deploy businesses and business people in their school environment, establish the relationships with those business people, look after the business people when they come into the school, make them feel welcome, thank them obviously for the support they've given to the school, and I think you'll find if you do that you will have a long-standing, long-term relationship with a business supporter who is very loyal and very supportive to all of the school's objectives.
There are of course some costs involved in bringing in outside speakers. With business dynamics there is a small charge to bring the speakers in for a whole day, but the benefit easily outweighs the cost. And I think the last day we were charged about £150 and we had 30 students involved, which is relatively low cost.
From September 2005, there will be additional government funding available to you to help deliver enterprise education for Key Stage 4 students.
Enterprise education is becoming bigger and bigger in schools, and I believe that it's really exciting, and I think that all schools are going to take part in ever-growing numbers of programmes. The costs of the Young Enterprise programmes are a big factor for the schools. They want to know how much it's going to cost them and what the benefits are going to be. Up till now, the majority of the funding for Young Enterprise programmes have come from the Learning and Skills Council. However, because of the Davies report and the changes in the way that the government's working, funding from next year is going to go direct to the schools, and that means that obviously Young Enterprise are going to have to charge for their programmes.
Young Enterprise are a nationally based charity who run a number of programmes and are able to help to support you in your teaching. They're at Swanley to give pupils a hands-on feel of what business is all about.
You will learn about the 7 M's of production. You'll actually make a product using some very basic materials. And at the end of it, you will be giving a little presentation about your product. So it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be a learning experience for you.
The point of going through this today was to actually look at how a product's produced and the different elements that it takes to develop and produce a product, and the different types of things that you have to consider when you're doing that. Now obviously this is one of the things that you might want to use in the future if you're thinking about, for example, starting your own business.
Setting up these kind of projects involving young enterprise and business dynamics does take some work to set up in the first place, but once you've done it for the whole academic year, then it's done and organised, and it does relieve the workload for some of the teachers, because some of the curriculum is covered by these organisations, and it's so useful because you can then use it in your lessons that follow.
Okay.
So here's the crane, this side is the crane, and this is the building.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, and we're just do with the plastic.
Oh, so it's going to smash the buildings?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is just to make it look nice, and that's just the swing in the background.
Okay.
Our marketing, when we did our marketing, we aimed this toy to children, mostly boys, 9 to 10 years old.
Obviously the main benefit of company programme is giving the students the experience of setting up and running their own company. If you imagine when these students actually go out to be employed, whether that's setting up their own business or in fact going to another company, how many students can actually say, I have been the managing director of a company, or I have been the finance director, and built a company up from scratch? And that's the biggest experience that they take away with them.
Machines, obvious, isn't it, yeah? What types of machines are going to be used to develop your product, yeah?
I think it's important that if we're working hard for the students, bringing in outside speakers, then the students are likely to work hard for us, and I think it's going to enrich their experience as well.
Swanley are also involved in one of the government's Pathfinder projects. If you'd like to find out about what Swanley are doing, there's more information on their website. You may find something to help and inspire you in your own teaching.
One of the projects we're working on at the moment is the Enterprise Pathfinder on behalf of the DFES. The idea is to run a series of projects at Swanley School which will develop good practice in teaching and delivering enterprise education, which we can then share with other schools around the country. In our attempt to do that, we are developing a website which will be ready in July, and that will be an enterprise on demand service where colleagues around the country will be able to dip into enterprise activities and so on and download them and use them to teach lessons on enterprise.